Hello viewers, welcome to the maiden edition of Sunday Politics on Trust Television. Every week from today, the program will feature discussant, panelists, and guests that will discuss a specific issue important to the road leading to the 2023 general election in Nigeria. Most Nigerians are concerned about where the next president comes from. As the leading political parties prepare to conduct their primaries, the issue of zoning of the office of the president has remained in the front burner of national discourse. My name is Alian Amali, and you are watching Sunday Politics. And today we'll be talking about zoning and the 2023 election. To have a better understanding of this lingering issue, our guest Alhaji Idi Farouk is in the studio to give his perspective as the date of the election inexorably draws near. But before we proceed, we're going to take a break. Alhaji Idi Farouk has been involved in politics for quite a while now. He's former Director General of the National Orientation Agency, NOA, and also a member of the defunct National Republican Convention, as well as the foundation member of the it has changed now, All People's Party, way back in 1998. You are welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here.
Well, we're going straight into the topic of the day, which is zoning and the 2023 election. How did zoning become an issue?
First of all, I need to correct. In your intro, you said most Nigerians are beginning to think about where the president should come from. I think that's not a correct statement. Most Nigerians are interested and are praying for that kind of government, that kind of person that will put food on the table. So it doesn't matter where he or she comes from. I think that's the correction I want to make. But zoning, like you asked, I think began with the MPN in the 78 up to 83 era. When it was only the MPN that had zoning in its constitution. And that is why, in my opinion, that came about with some kind of problem. After the 78 election, Shagari became, 79 election, Shagari became president. And in 83, he was re-elected. And after that tenure, if it was allowed to have continued,
Without the military intervention.
without the intervention, it should have gone to the south. And in my opinion, because the south, which was not very MPN-ish then, you had Awolowo in the southwest, and of course Azikiwe in the southeast. But to ensure that one of them became more MPN than the other, that is the southwest and the southeast, recall that the southwest brought about Olunloyo then and took over the west, the Oyo state. And in their attempt to take over forcefully Ondo State, in my opinion, brought about that military intervention, because the riots and all that came up, you get what I mean, was not too good for the nation at that point. The MPN of the southeast had brought in Anambra, and in fact attempted to take Imo, and that was strongly resisted by Mbakwe. I'm just giving you that the issue of zoning is started long ago.
I see.
But these are the kind of problems that you can see with zoning.
Yeah, but
but in coming to the current era, it's only the PDP that has zoning in its constitution. No other party has it.
But why is it then that it would appear that...
I think it is non-political actors who are not in the political parties are the ones that are driving this discourse to the extent that it is becoming something looking like we are drawn apart. But if you look at the campaign organizations of the contenders as we speak now, Tinubu is from the Southwest, it's from the South.
Yeah.
There are so many Northerners in his campaign who prefer him over and above Atiku.
But they're in different parties.
They are in different, I'm just giving you. And even in the Atiku camp, you have a lot of Easterners, including Igbos, who would rather that it is Atiku over and above Peter Obi. That is the nature of politics. It's not about where you come from. It's about how you can mobilize. You get what I mean? In the Obi camp, I know some friends of mine from this part who would prefer that Obi becomes. That is how politics is. That is the nature of politics. It's not as if to say, because we come from the same place, we now have to I have to go along with you. You want to ask, Buhari has been president of Nigeria.
Yes.
How has the North, particularly even the Northwest, benefited because he's
from the Northwest?
From the Northwest. Even when Obasanjo was president, how did the Southwest benefit because Obasanjo is from the Southwest? So this zoning matter, I think what Nigerians require today is that president who will take them out of poverty, who will put food on the table, who will drive the economy positively. You get what I mean? Not driving it aground, as is the case now. So zoning is, as far as I'm concerned, is not an issue, and it should not be an issue where the president comes from. Even the argument in the PDP, for instance, where the chairman now is from the North, and all that was in the South has been brought to the North, and all that was in the North has been taken to the South. If that is true, why is the presidency not taken to the North? Because the last president of the PDP was from the South.
Yes, that is the thing that is very
And in the 16 years of PDP, the North has only held it for 2.5 years. May his soul rest in peace. His Excellency, the late Eradua. So I think it's just people who are not in the political space that are fueling this zoning matter. That doesn't make sense in politics if you are running politics as you ought to.
Well, let me just take, a lot of people argue that zoning is important because to give everybody a sense of inclusion. And when you explain that zoning, the MPN enshrined it in its constitution way back in the 1970s.
In the MPN constitution,
in
right?
the MPN constitution.
Yes. It's just as a way of, it's a political strategy. It's a strategy to get about, that's why it was called National Party of Nigeria.
Yes.
And it has this national outlook. And that's why we won elections. But if you note, the South didn't give it that kind of the votes that were required. Most of the votes the MPN got was from the North, so to speak.
Well, before we take a quick break, let me just ask you this question. Would you say now the PDP, because clearly the PDP has some striking resemblance with the MPN, would you say now that the PDP actually is influenced by, in a way, the zone formula of the MPN? Before you answer that,
I don't think that, I mean...
Before you answer that, we'll take a quick break.
Okay.
Yeah. Viewers, we're going to take a break for a while. Thank you. Welcome back, viewers. I was asking the question whether the PDP is influenced by the zoning formula, enshrined by the...
Yeah, that can be true. That can be said to be true because in the beginning of the PDP, most of the movers and shakers of the PDP were elements from the MPN, including, may his soul rest in peace, at Alex Ekweme, His Excellency, Mala Adamu Chiroma, and the like, Bamanga Tukur and all that. All those that were the heavyweights of the MPN found themselves in the PDP. So I'm sure that could have influenced the constitution and even the manifesto of the PDP. Okay. Well, let us go back to that zoning issue.
Yeah.
Because in the PDP, Alex Ekweme is one of the founding members of the PDP.
Yeah, he led the G34.
Say again?
He led the G34. Before then, the G18.
Yes.
Yes.
So, in Jos, it was a given that Alex Ekweme would have taken the ticket.
Yeah, a lot of people expected that. What happened?
But, like the nature of politics, the Igbo votes were not given to Ekweme. Most of the Igbo votes, led by His Excellency Jim Nwobodo,
yes,
voted for Obasanjo. Because in their opinion, Obasanjo will make a better president. That is how politics is. It doesn't mean that because you are from my place, I must now come and vote for you. Even the general election that brought about Abiola, you see that even the electorate, you get what I mean? In spite of the fact that Abiola was from the south, and Bashir Tofa is even from Kano, even in Tofa and Kano, Abiola won. Yes. The electorate believed in the fact that Abiola will make a better president. So, where does zoning stand in all this? As far as I'm concerned, zoning is not an issue.
But why the agitation for zoning now, given what
I'm telling you, is because non-political actors have come into the fray, not even looking at it and understanding.
When you say non-political actors,
I mean that those people who are not in the who are not politicians,
partisan politicians,
and who are not partisan. Yes. You're in the church, you are making that. You are in the mosque, you are saying that.
Yeah.
You are not partisan politicians. You are the electorate. No problem with that.
And then they're the ones setting the agenda
and you are trying to set the agenda. And like what's going on now, particularly from the East, you put scare into people who would be voters. And you diminish the status of your top contenders. Peter Obi, as far as I'm concerned, is a very top and capable contender. The same for Ayim, Pius Ayim. The same for Wiki. They're all strong contenders. But when you come in and you are, beating the drums of war about zoning, then you are diminishing their, what's it called? Because, but they also, they're not listening to them because they're going around Nigeria. So I think that partisan politicians are doing their politics. And I think that those that are in the pulpit and in the mambaris should stick to their position and allow politics to show. That's the best way you can get. And anyway, nobody wants an Igbo president. Nobody wants a Hausa president or a Yoruba president.
What do you mean exactly?
We want a Nigerian president who can be of Igbo extraction, who can be of Yoruba extraction.
Yes, yes.
You know that Tinubu is doing very well in his campaign, even as the Southerner. So, zoning should not even be an issue. as far as I'm concerned, because it's not an issue.
Yeah, but clearly it's an issue now, given what you've just
They are
sketched.
making it an issue, but the politicians who are partisan are ignoring that and going about their business that they ought to. That is why you see in the camp of the Hausa man, you have Igbos and Yorubas, and the same in the Yoruba camp or in the, what's it called, campaigning strongly so for the person that, because it's a matter of conviction, it's a matter of choice.
Well, would you say now that zoning is dead, in especially the opposition PDP, because it's recently through open, it's the presidential contest.
That is how it should be. That is how it should be.
It's dead now? Do you think it's dead? Because it has been thrown open now.
Because that is how it should be. I don't think it's, I mean, when you say zoning is dead, I have told you it's not an issue. How it should be is that people should, you throw your heart into the ring, you market yourself, and on the basis of which the delegates seeing you somebody who they will prefer to even their own brother, and vote for you. Therefore, you become the candidate. The way the PDP has done it, and in fact, even the APC, that's the way it should be. I don't want to say...
But it would appear that the APC is for dragging, and only a couple of days ago,
I just want to ask you, you know, I want to ask you, Malam Ali.
Yes. Well, it's the other way around.
What is the business of APC where PDP gets its candidate from?
Exactly, that's the question.
What is also the business of PDP where APC gets its candidate from? They are all in this thing to win. They form political parties are formed for the sole purpose of taking over power and running government. Why should I now take my candidate from where you say I should take my candidate? Because you are taking your candidate from that place. And meanwhile, if you go even by the, what's it called, PDP had its strength more in the south before, in the southeast and south-south. But the APC have gone to
yeah, make some incursion.
They did incursion. Is it incursion, so? They have...
well, they got a couple of governors.
They took those governors who took the mandate of the PDP into the APC. That's another story. You now want us to go to the southeast, assuming, or the south. Meanwhile, you have come to my place, you have taken my governor of Anambra, of Ebonyi, to your side. You have taken the governor of Imo to your side. You have gone to Cross River. You've taken Cross River to your side. And yet you say we must all go to the same place to come. It doesn't work like that. But that's not to mean that somebody of strong standing and good appeal from any of these places cannot be. But don't allow me and allow my party to choose candidates from where, in the opinion of the party, it has strength and it can win election.
Well, a lot of Nigerians say when you make reference to the groundbreaking election of 1993, that was, well, annulled. It was still undecided in public, undecided who won it eventually. But one thing stood out. Abiola defeated Tofa, God rest their soul, both of them, in his ward. Now, a lot of people make that reference, a watershed election. Now, what was it about the SDP at the time and NRC? And I remember you were also an active member of the NRC.
I was the national director of organization.
Exactly. You were national director. What was it that is different that made that election a watershed?
You call it watershed.
Well, most Nigerians call it watershed because for this reason. For example, there was the Muslim ticket that Abiola ran on.
But if there is any lesson to learn, in my own opinion, is that the North will not vote any candidate because he's a Northerner. The electorate that we always believe don't know their right from their left saw in Abiola a better candidate, and therefore voted for Abiola. In fact, because of that, so that argument about zoning or no zoning, it defeats that argument. Because an Igbo man can be president of Nigeria on his own steam. The same for anybody in Nigeria, on your own recognition, on your own drive, and on your own steam. So that election for me proves one point. And let me also tell you, because I mean, at that point, when it was to be annulled, there were very strong voiced Northerners who said no to it, including Mala Adamu Chiroma, who said Abiola won fair and square. Those are his words. And that should be given to him. I was National Director Organization, and Mala Adamu Chiroma was one of my mentors. I left Abuja here to meet him, to challenge him. I said, why are you talking like this? If they cancel the election and they call for another election, we probably will win. He asked me a question, did Abiola win? I reluctantly answered yes. He said, then he won fair and square. He therefore must be given. Because the North stands for justice and fair play. And he's not prepared to put it on that, to throw it away and tell some non-truths. Abiola won fair and square. So my take here, what I took away and is still in me is that at all times, justice and fairness must be allowed to prevail. And that is why I do not even subscribe to zoning.
Well, thank you very much, Alhaji Idi Farouk. I'm afraid we have to come draw the curtain on today's program. Thank you for coming around to our studios, and we hope that when next time we invite you, you'll have the time to grace our studios. Thank you very much for coming to our
I appreciate Mala Ali M. Ali, as I call you.
Thank you very much. We have been talking with Alhaji Idi Farouk in the last half hour, giving insights to the genesis of zoning, especially in the opposition PDP. We listened to his wonderful perspective, and we are better enriched. Thank you very much once again. Well, viewers, we've come to the end of today's program. See you next week. Goodbye.